Hi, my name is Chris Swanson. I thought I'd do a quick video about the Boy Scout flashcards that you can download here on this website. Our troop's been using these for several years, and I've managed to design these. I use a program called Adobe Illustrator, which is sort of a professional desktop publishing software. So they're kind of fancy. Anyway, I've put them into a format called PDF that anyone should be able to download, print out. And then there are instructions on the website on how to create these cards. Essentially, once you've downloaded and printed them, there are 72 in all, so it does take a little bit. You'll have 4 cards, front and back. They fold in half on each sheet of paper. So whatever 72 divided by 4 is, I'm not quick on my math here, but that's essentially how many cards you have. We encourage our scouts to print them out and make their own, and maybe they don't make them all at one time. Maybe they just do the first rank that they're working on so that they have those built, and then they can go and create the other ones later. To build them all at once is a little daunting. It takes about, well, I'd probably say after you've printed them and you've cut them out, and now you have to fold them in half and then laminate them or use clear packing tape. It usually takes 2 strips on each side, and then you got to make sure you rub it nice and smooth, and then try to trim it around the card with a little bit of edge. You don't want to trim it right at the card because then it'll peel right at the card. So you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch all the way around the card. You can purchase the fancy lamination sheets. Those actually are really slick. They're also probably a lot more sturdy and a lot cleaner. Your cards will look neater and they'll probably last longer. But in this case, I've made my batch just using packing tape where I trim it, and I do an okay job at trimming. Your scouts may not be as neat, but it doesn't matter how neat they are. They work really well. For us, what we like about it is several things. One, you have, for instance, here's a card. You say, what are the 3 most common poisonous plants? And then the answer is on the other side, along with a page number referencing where it is in the Scout Handbook. And this is the 12th edition of the BSA Scout Handbook. So if that updates or you have an older book, the page numbers may not be exactly the same or right on, but it should be close, and the questions should be close. I do notice that there are some questions that have changed over the years from previous handbooks. So if your scout has an older handbook, I know my older son, for a fish hook, they used to say continue and push the fish hook all the way through. Well, the card in the new Scout Handbook has a different first aid for a fish hook in a finger. So that would be an example of how things have changed. But what's nice is you can read it. How do you remove a tick? Tie the following knots, explain what they're used for. And so here's 2 half hitches and a taut line hitch. And so those are really good ways for the scout to be able to look at it, and they can think, what's the answer? If they can't remember, they can, oh yeah, that's right, and the answer's on the back side. Likewise, a family member can use, or a friend can quiz them using the flashcards as they study for Scoutmaster conferences. And then finally, when they come into the Scoutmaster conference, each one of our Scoutmasters has one of these, and they can just open it up and ask the questions appropriate for each rank. Now, this doesn't replace everything. It probably covers 80% of what a scout should know. So keep that in mind, that this isn't a be-all and know-all document. It does not replace the handbook. They should still be in the handbook for the first time that they understand the questions. So this just truncates it for them. So this is for studying after they've read their handbook thoroughly. We don't let them go to these first. They really need to go to the handbook first. They should learn it. They should go through the EDGE method, have somebody explain it, demonstrate, guide them, and have them do it to demonstrate the enabling. And then when they come back, like 2 months later for their Scoutmaster conference, and they're trying to study for that class advancement or that rank advancement, then you have the cards. We also like the cards because then that way the Scoutmasters know that they're all asking the same questions. The Scout should know exactly, pretty much at least 80 to 90%, that this is what they need to know. And if they know it cold and verbatim, they should do just fine in their Scoutmaster Conference. If they don't know it, then they didn't study and they haven't retained the knowledge. And some of these things, especially first aid, you really should know like that, verbatim. It's not something you should hum and haw and, oh, what's the answer to a heart first aid for heat exhaustion? You really need to know it cold, because in a tough situation, you're not going to have time to sit there and hem and haw that, and that delay could mean life or death. So I think it's really good that they know this stuff really, really well and cold. And if they can learn it step by step, word for word, that's probably best, and they're going to have a good chance of retaining that for the long time. Do give yourself time to make these. They do take some time. There is some manual labor. There's 72 cards in all, so it is a little thick once you're done. But it does, if you try really hard, it does fit in my Scout pocket. So I can have these with me all the time. The nice thing about the lamination, if you do that, or clear packing tape, is that if they get, if they're out in the rain or they get wet, that's going to protect them. Also, it's going to keep them from tearing. The ring, this is probably the best ring that I've found. You could use zip ties or other means. You could use paracord, what have you, and those will work fine as well. I guess I like the ring because it opens and closes really easy. I can replace cards if I need to or add to them. In every set of cards, there are some blanks for each rank, so that if you want to write your own questions to add to what you have, or maybe you don't like the way we did some of the questions, you could swap one out and make sure that they're the way you want them to do it. They're color coded so that you've got gold here. Let me see, I got to hold this to the camera. You got gold here for Scout, you got brown for Tenderfoot, you got green, can you see the green? There's the green. And you got red for first class. So that just helps you organize the cards a little bit easier when you're doing the Scoutmaster conferences and studying, so you can get, once you get them all. And of course you can imagine once somebody's up for Eagle or their advanced or life even, yeah, they need to know all the cards, 72 in all. So that's the cards. You're welcome to download them. As far as I know, there isn't any copyright infringement with the Boy Scouts of America. If there is and they find this, they might give me a message. This really isn't meant to compete with anything in Boy Scouts of America. It's meant to complement and augment and make it just a little bit easier for Scouts to study for rank advancement. But you're welcome to download them, print them as many times as you want. There is a little donation button on the page. They did take a little while to design these, and I'd like to keep these up to date. I'm not taking any of that money. All that goes to our troop here at Colorado Springs, Troop 287. So if there's anybody that wants to donate, that's where the money is going to. So that's all I got. Certainly on the website, there's a place you can leave comments or the right questions about the cards if you want, and happy scouting.